This will feel better. It was the middle of the night. Everyone was dead asleep. But from the blue tent next to mine, I could just make out the rustle of fabric, the sound of held breath. That was my wife Emily's tent. A faint zipping sound jolted me from a light sleep. I opened my eyes to the suffocating blackness of my tent. The glow-in-the-dark hands of my watch read 2:40 a.m. Outside, the wind howled through the mountain pass at 10,000 feet, a low growl like a cornered animal. Our 12-person hiking group had been camped in this sheltered valley in the Colorado Rockies for 2 days. I shifted to look out the small, transparent window panel. Through it, I could see Emily's tent not 20 feet away. There was a light on inside, the weak beam of a headlamp. I frowned. Emily had mentioned feeling the effects of the altitude, that she might not sleep well. I'd offered to share a tent to look after her, but she'd insisted on sleeping alone, saying she didn't want to disturb my rest. What was she doing up at this hour? Footsteps, soft, crunching on the loose gravel, each one a careful, deliberate sound. I held my breath and peered through the mesh of my tent's door. A tall figure was hunched over, creeping toward Emily's tent. I knew that silhouette instantly. Jake Peterson, our outdoor guide. 28 years old, 8 years of high-altitude experience, a guy who'd summit Everest and conquer K2. The women in our group practically worshipped him, calling him a reincarnated mountain god. My wife was no exception. At the time, I just felt a twinge of jealousy, thinking she was giving another man a little too much attention. But now, my breathing grew ragged. Emily? It's me. His voice was a low whisper. You said you were feeling off. I brought you something. The zipper of her tent slid open. Jake, it's so late. I don't know if this is a good idea. Emily's voice sounded hesitant, but not surprised. I was worried about you, he said, his voice dropping to a gravelly murmur. Then the sound of rustling nylon. He was inside. I stared at that tent, my blood turning to ice. This couldn't be happening. I told myself I was overthinking it. He was just a guide, checking on a client. It was his job. But why at nearly 3 in the morning? Why so quiet? This stuff works best with a little massage, Jake said. Relax. Deep breaths. No protest. There is only the howling wind and the frantic, hammering beat of my own heart. Then I heard it. A soft gasp from Emily. I knew that sound. It wasn't from altitude sickness. It wasn't from pain. It was just like that. Her voice was a soft sigh of satisfaction, of release. In that instant, the world fell out from under me. A boulder settled on my chest, crushing the air from my lungs. I pulled out my phone, my fingers trembling as I opened the voice recorder app. In that moment, I wasn't an angry husband anymore. I was a businessman collecting assets. If this was happening, I needed proof. Through the thin fabric of her tent, their 2 shadows merged and moved as one. This will feel better. Jake's voice was gentle now. What if he finds out? He won't. Jake paused. He climbed the hardest today. He's dead to the world. My fists clenched so hard my knuckles burned. I jammed them against my teeth to keep from screaming. The sounds continued. The friction of clothes, the ragged, suppressed breaths, carried with perfect clarity on the cold night air. My mind was a blank slate of shock, but my heart felt like it was being carved up with a dull knife. Every sound was another slow, deliberate cut. I knew everything. I didn't need any more confirmation. I don't know how long it was before everything went quiet. I heard some faint rustling, the sound of someone getting dressed, and then footsteps, barely audible, fading away. Emily's tent was silent again, as if nothing had ever happened. There was only the wind and the distant crackle of embers in the fire pit. I stopped the recording, shut off my phone, and closed my eyes. 10 years. 10 years of knowing her, 8 years of dating, 5 years of marriage. All of it, apparently, meant nothing here in this desolate valley, in the presence of a stranger. I thought about how she'd been hanging on Jake's every word for days. I thought about her stubborn insistence on sleeping alone, her constant complaints of feeling sick. It all made sense now. A pale, gray light began to touch the horizon, etching the distant peaks against the sky. The wind still howled. The campfire was out, leaving behind nothing but a pile of ash. Just like my marriage. At 5:30 a.m., the mountain air was sharp enough to cut glass. I crawled out of my sleeping bag and saw Emily crouched outside her tent, wiping her hiking boots with a wet wipe, her movements as fluid as a cat's. Last night's storm had kept me awake, but she'd clearly slept like a baby. "Honey, you're up?" She turned and flashed me a dazzling smile. "The mountain spring water is amazing. I filled your thermos with some hot water, honey, and lemon." I took the warm thermos from her, the sour taste of bile rising in my throat as I watched her dote on me. When did she get so good at acting? "You're up early," I said, fighting the urge to wrap my hands around her throat. "Couldn't sleep," she said, looking down to fuss with her backpack. "The nights in the mountains are just so exhilarating." Exhilarating? I almost laughed out loud. I bet they were. Jake ambled over from the other side of camp, a smug grin plastered on his face. "Ethan, Emily, morning," he called out cheerfully. "That wind was something else last night. Hope it didn't keep you up." I watched his eyes flicker toward Emily, who immediately looked down as if she'd been zapped with a cattle prod, like a stray cat caught with a canary in its mouth. "The wind was strong, but I slept like a log," I said, getting to my feet and clapping him on the back. He smelled faintly of her perfume. My fingernails dug into my palms, the only thing stopping me from tearing that phony mask off his face right then and there. "I bet you didn't sleep well either, Jake," I asked, my voice laced with fake concern. "I saw the light on in your tent in the middle of the night." His expression tightened for a fraction of a second. Yeah, just going over tomorrow's route." "Such a professional," I said with a placid smile. "You don't find guides as dedicated as you very often." "Not at all," Jake said, trying to look humble. He turned to the others. "Everyone about ready?" "I just checked the forecast. Looks like rain this afternoon, so we need to move on." "Let's stick to the original plan, then," I said. "Hold on," Jake said, suddenly frowning as if an idea had just struck him. "I was thinking of a better route. There's a hidden waterfall not far from here. Not many people know about it. Since we're here, I figured I'd show you all something special." A few others in the group immediately perked up. "Seriously? That would be awesome. Jake, you know all the best spots." I glanced at Emily and saw a strange glimmer in her eyes. "What do you think, honey?" I asked her deliberately. I'm fine with whatever," she stammered. "We should just listen to the guide." Just then, her phone buzzed with a text notification, a rare event given the spotty cell service in the mountains. She picked it up, and her face instantly went pale. "Who's that?" I asked casually. "Oh, it's nothing," she sputtered, nearly dropping the phone. "Just a weather alert." "A weather alert?" I thought, laughing internally. I glanced over at Jake. He was fiddling with his own phone, the corner of his mouth turned up in a self-satisfied smirk. So the two of them were still texting, right in front of me. I clenched my fists, the pain of my nails biting into my skin a welcome anchor to my rage. It wasn't time. Not yet. While Emily was down by the stream washing her face, I opened her backpack. Tucked deep inside a side pocket was a button-sized GPS tracker. It was a product from my own company, designed to prevent expensive outdoor gear from being lost. I never imagined I'd be using it to track my own wife. "Mr. Clark, what are you looking for?" Kevin, one of the younger guys on the trip, walked over. "Just doing a gear check for her," I said smoothly, zipping the pack shut. "You know how women can be. Wouldn't want her to lose anything important out here." "You're so thoughtful," Kevin said, giving me a thumbs up. "Emily's a lucky woman." I smiled a cold, dead thing. Once we started hiking, I paid close attention to their interactions. Jake always found a way to walk next to Emily, pretending to point out the scenery while their bodies accidentally brushed against each other. And my dear wife, instead of moving away, would lean into it. I wanted to shove them both off the nearest cliff. But I held back. I was going to make them pay a much higher price. "So, Jake, how long have you been guiding out here?" I asked, falling into step beside him. "Almost 5 years now," he said, all casual confidence. "Started right out of college." "Must have met all kinds of people," I said, probing. "Ever have any particularly memorable clients?" That made him pause. He shot a quick glance at Emily, who was walking just ahead of us. "Nothing too crazy. Most clients are pretty easygoing," he said, trying to sound nonchalant. "Is that right?" I nodded thoughtfully. "So, are clients like my wife common?" "First-timer, but she's taken to it like a natural." Hearing this, Emily's stride faltered. "Emily's in great shape," Jake said, his voice a little tight. "She's got a real talent for this stuff." "Talent?" I raised my voice. "Emily, When did you develop a talent for the outdoors? How come I never knew? She turned, her face rigid. I guess. I guess it's all the time I spend at the gym. Oh, right? I said, pretending it had just dawned on me. You have been working out a lot lately. Always saying you're with your girlfriends, getting back pretty late. The color drained from both of their faces. Jake nearly tripped over a rock. For the rest of the hike, they were much more reserved, choosing their words carefully. But the more they tried to hide it, the more their guilt screamed at me. When we reached the waterfall, everyone was stunned. A curtain of water cascaded down a 100-foot cliff face into a turquoise pool, throwing up a cloud of mist that caught the sun in a shimmering rainbow. It's beautiful, Emily exclaimed. Isn't it? Jake said proudly. This is my own private spot. I don't usually bring clients here. Private spot? I sneered internally. More like one of their designated hookup spots. While the others were taking pictures, Jake sidled up to Emily and whispered something in her ear. She looked startled for a second, then nodded, a blush creeping up her neck. I took out my phone, pretending to film the landscape, but I had the camera aimed squarely at them. Click, click. Every stolen glance, every accidental touch was captured and saved. This evidence will be very useful later. Ethan, come get a picture with us, someone shouted. Coming. I put my phone away and walked over, wrapping my arm around Emily's waist. Her body went rigid, as stiff as a board. Having fun, honey? I whispered in her ear, my fingers digging viciously into her side. She sucked in a sharp breath of pain. Yes. So much fun. Good, I said, smiling warmly for the camera. All I want is for you to be happy. But my grip tightened, and I watched the color drain from her face as she fought to keep a smile plastered on for the photo. She didn't dare make a sound. She knew she couldn't. On the way back, dark clouds rolled in. Looks like rain. Let's pick up the pace, Jake called out. The group started to spread out. I intentionally fell to the back of the pack. I opened the tracking app on my phone. Emily's location showed up as a blinking dot. But what surprised me was another red dot, blinking right next to hers. I zoomed in. That second dot was exactly where Jake was. The bastards were sharing their locations with each other. This wasn't some spontaneous, one-time thing. This had been going on for a while. My temples throbbed, the blood pounding in my veins. How long had she been lying to me? Ethan, you look pale. You feeling okay? Jake had materialized beside me. He wore a look of concern, but I could see the naked challenge in his eyes. The son of a bitch was gloating. He was flaunting the fact that he'd slept with my wife right under my nose, and I was supposedly none the wiser. Just tired from the climb, I said, fighting back the primal urge to smash his face in. An office drone like me can't compete with the energy of a young guy like you. Haha, you're too modest, Ethan. He laughed, radiating smugness. Hey, when we get back down the mountain tonight, dinner's on me. There's a great rustic lodge restaurant that serves local game. You can't get it anywhere else. Sounds great, I agreed without hesitation. But it should be my treat. To thank you for all the special care you've given us these past few days. At the words special care, a flicker of panic crossed his eyes. It's nothing really, just doing my job. No, I said, clapping him hard on the shoulder, using enough force to make him wince. The way you've looked after my Emily. I've seen it all. I'll be sure to repay you properly. As I spoke, I looked past him at Emily. She was watching us, her face a mask of anxiety. I gave her a wave and my most brilliant, reassuring smile. The rain began to fall, coming down harder and harder. Everyone quickened their pace. I already knew exactly how I was going to destroy them. They thought they were so clever, but they had no idea who they were dealing with. Just wait. 3 week had passed since the hiking trip. I sat in my home office, a dossier on Jake Peterson spread across my desk. Frank, an old buddy from the outdoor gear industry, had sent it over yesterday. My hands shook as I read it. The bastard had a pattern. He used his position as a guide to get close to wealthy, married women. He'd already destroyed at least 5 families. It was always the same playbook. Showcase his rugged masculinity on the trail, then continue the affair back in the city until he'd bled them dry or the husband found out. Emily had told me she was going to the gym at 2 this afternoon, but the GPS tracker showed her phone at a downtown boutique hotel for 3 hours. Jake's phone signal was pinging from the exact same location. A rage unlike anything I'd ever felt before boiled in my chest. I forced myself to take a deep breath. To think. I replayed Emily's behavior over the last 6 months. Last October, she suddenly got interested in hiking and bought a ton of professional gear. I'd laughed at her, saying it was just another phase. After New Year's, she started going out constantly, claiming she was taking outdoor skills classes. She always showered the moment she got home, saying she was sweaty. In March, she became obsessed with getting top-of-the-line equipment, spending a small fortune. I thought she was just trying to take an interest in my business, to be more supportive. Now it all made sense. She had been preparing for this betrayal for months. Every memory was a needle in my heart, but I had to stay rational. I heard a key in the front door. Emily was home. "Honey, I'm back," she called out, her voice bright with a poorly concealed glee. I closed the file, composed my face into a mask of loving concern, and went downstairs. "Hey, babe, tough workout." I met her at the door and took her gym bag. It was okay. My trainer was really pushing me. He works so hard. I feel like I have to keep up, you know? Otherwise, what am I paying for? She avoided my eyes, the tips of her ears bright red. "I'm going to go grab a shower." "Hold on," I said, gently touching her cheek. "I bought you that special wellness tonic you love. Have some first, build your strength back up." Her body stiffened slightly. "Thank you, honey. You're so good to me." "I know I am." I pulled her into a tight hug. "So good that I can even put up with whatever it is you're doing behind my back." Her body went rigid in my arms. What are you talking about?" I whispered in her ear. "I'm saying you must have had a hell of a workout. Your face is all flushed. Did you learn some new positions? I mean exercises?" No, just the usual circuit training." She laughed nervously, pushing away from me. "I really need that shower." Watching her flee up the stairs, I felt a grim smile touch my lips. Right? A romp with her lover would definitely require a shower. I sat on the sofa, listening to the water running, my mind filled with the images the private investigator had sent me. Emily and Jake holding hands in a coffee shop, kissing in a dimly lit bar, a lingering embrace outside the hotel. Crushing the rage that threatened to boil over, I texted the PI. "Keep on her tomorrow. I want a full itinerary." Then I began to refine my plan for revenge. First, I would utterly destroy Jake's reputation in the outdoor community. Frank was already in contact with the families of some of his other victims. We were planning a coordinated expose at the National Outdoor Retailers Convention next month. Second, I would make my dear wife understand that the charming, rugged lover she'd risked everything for was nothing but a piece of human garbage. The bathroom door opened. She walked out wrapped in a towel, her skin still pink. "Honey, where's that tonic?" "In the kitchen." "I'll get it for you," I said, standing up with a gentle smile. "Go get dressed. Don't want you to catch a cold." Looking at her grateful smile, I felt a wave of nausea. 5 years of marriage, a decade of my life, a decade of trust, all worthless in her eyes. Fine, let the game continue. I would be the one to shatter her pathetic little fantasy. And I wanted to see if she'd still be smiling then. It was our wedding anniversary. We were celebrating at home. The mood was intimate. Wine was flowing, and then her phone buzzed on the table. She glanced at the screen and immediately declined the call, but not before I saw the tension in her shoulders. "Who was that?" I asked, swirling the wine in my glass. "Telemarketer," she said, her voice unsteady. "I've been getting so many of them lately." I put my glass down. "You seem on edge lately. Is something stressing you out?" "No, not at all," she said with a weak smile. Her phone lit up again, this time with a text. She instinctively picked it up, and the color drained from her face. I caught a glimpse of the message preview. "This is bad. Someone's posting dirt on me everywhere online. It's a total smear campaign. Do you know anyone in PR? I need help. What's wrong?" I asked, feigning concern. "A friend in trouble." Emily fumbled with the phone. "It's just an old coworker, having some issues at his new job." "What kind of issues? Maybe I can help." I moved closer, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You know I have some connections." "No." Her reaction was sharp, almost violent. She caught herself and softened her tone. "I mean, it's nothing serious. He can handle it." I nodded slowly. "All right." Her phone started buzzing again, a relentless stream of notifications. With every buzz, her face grew paler. Wow, someone's popular tonight. She shot up from her chair, her eyes wide with panic. "Honey, I need to run to the store. I just realized I'm out of pads." Now? It's almost 8, I said, checking my watch. Want me to go with you? No. Her voice was shrill. I'll be right back. I didn't stop her. I just smiled gently. Drive safe. As soon as the front door closed, I let out a cold laugh and opened a tracking app on my phone. Just as I expected, she was heading straight for that boutique hotel downtown, Jake's usual haunt. I opened my laptop. The internet was on fire with stories about Jake Peterson. The accusations from other wrong husbands, the screenshots of his manipulative texts, the sordid details of his affairs. It was all going viral on Reddit, Instagram, and every major outdoor adventure blog. I made sure to target a few key influencers in the space, the ones with huge female followings. My phone rang. It was the online reputation management firm I'd hired. Mr. Clark, it's working perfectly. Peterson's personal brand is in free fall. He posted a denial on his social media, but the comments are tearing him to shreds. Good. Keep the pressure on, I instructed. I want his name to be synonymous with scumbag in that entire industry. Understood. And one more thing. Our research shows he's in serious financial trouble. Hasn't booked a major expedition in months. After this, he's finished. After I hung up, I found Jake's Instagram profile. His latest post was from an hour ago. To all my friends and followers, the rumors circulating about me are malicious lies. I will be pursuing legal action to clear my name. The comment section was a war zone. Legal action? What about the legal action your victims should take? Disgusting. I can't believe I recommended you to my friends. You're a disgrace to the climbing community. Emily came back at 11. Her hair was a mess, her lipstick was smeared, and her eyes were red and swollen from crying. What happened? I asked, rushing to meet her. You were gone for so long. Were you crying? No, I'm not, she mumbled, wiping her eyes. The wind got something in my eye. I pulled her into a hug. You idiot. Whatever it is, you can tell me. I'm your husband. I'm always on your side. That broke her. She collapsed against me, her body shaking with sobs. Ethan, I'm so scared. I'm so scared of losing you. Will you promise to never leave me? She asked, her voice trembling. Of course, I said, playing the part of the perfect husband as I kissed her forehead. We're married. We're in this for life. My words only made her cry harder. I knew exactly what she was thinking. She thought she'd found her soulmate, a real man of adventure. Now, her knight in shining armor was a pariah, a predator being torn apart by a digital mob. And her husband, the man she'd betrayed, was the only one offering her comfort. In my mind, I was already plotting the next phase. Jake's career was over, but that wasn't enough. I needed her to understand the true cost of betrayal. A few tears weren't going to cut it. Emily hadn't eaten a real meal in 3 days. I cooked her favorite dinner, slow-cooked ribs and creamy mac and cheese, and set the plate in front of her. Here, Emily, try some. See if it tastes like it used to, I said gently. She stared at the food with hollow eyes, her fork trembling in her hand. I'm not really hungry. You have to eat. You've lost so much weight. You'll make yourself sick, I said, sitting across from her. Come on, let me feed you. She shook her head. I can do it. She managed to lift a piece of rib to her mouth, chewing it like it was cardboard. Suddenly, tears started streaming down her cheeks. What is it? Is it not good? I reached across the table and wiped a tear from her face. No, it's just. It reminded me of something, she sobbed. On our first date, you made me ribs, remember? I do. I told you I'd make them for you for the rest of our lives, I said, stroking the back of her hand. She covered her face and broke down completely. I don't deserve you. I really don't deserve you. Just then, her phone rang. A blocked number. She glanced at it, and her face went ashen. The phone nearly slipped from her grasp. Ethan, my stomach. I think I need the bathroom, she said, scrambling from her chair and rushing into the downstairs powder room. I pressed my ear to the door and could clearly hear Jake's voice on the other end. So, Emily, heard you're not doing so hot. She clutched the phone. How dare you call me? What, playing innocent now? Jake's voice was dripping with scorn. That's not what you were doing in the mountains when you were clinging to me, crying about how much you loved me. Emily's face, I imagined, was burning with shame. Stop it. Stop what? Stop reminding you that you're just another rich, bored housewife looking for a thrill, he sneered. Did you really think I was into you? If it wasn't for your husband's money, You think I would have wasted my time playing out your stupid romantic fantasies? Her voice was trembling with rage. That's a lie. You told me. You told me you'd never met anyone like me before. Huh? And you bought it. Jake roared with laughter. Emily, take a look in a mirror. You're a married woman, fantasizing about some epic love story? I was after your money from day one. Your husband owns a successful outdoor supply company. Of course I was going to leverage that. You? How could you? She sounded like she was about to collapse. Well, now that my career is shot, I don't have to pretend anymore. Jake's tone grew even more vicious. You think watching the sunrise from a mountain peak was romantic? That was my job. I run the same playbook on dozens of lonely women just like you. You people are so damn easy. Emily was completely broken, sobbing into the phone. Anything else? Jake said impatiently. If not, I'm hanging up. I'm a little busy dealing with my own divorce right now. Oh, and thanks for the investment these past few months. I'll be sure to put all that expensive gear you bought me to good use. The line went dead. Emily slid to the floor, the phone clattering from her hand and shattering on the tile. A surge of pure satisfaction shot through me. I threw the door open, my face a perfect mask of concern. What happened? Tell me what's wrong. I'll fix it. I pulled her into my arms. Ethan, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. She wept against my chest. I did something terrible. You couldn't do anything terrible, I soothed, stroking her hair, my voice as soft as silk. Did someone hurt you? She just shook her head, crying even harder. It's okay. I'm not going to be mad at you, I whispered, kissing her forehead. Don't be afraid. Why? Why are you being so nice to me? She choked out. Because seeing you like this is exactly what I wanted. Because you finally realized that your great, passionate romance was nothing but a cheap scam. But all I said was, because you're my wife, and I love you. Always. My kindness was the sharpest knife of all, twisting in the wound of her guilt. Every time I called her my wife, it was a judgment. Every hug was a reminder of her betrayal in that valley. She clung to me, her cries echoing in the small bathroom, while my lips curved into a cold, invisible smile. All those beautiful mountain vistas and starry nights she thought were so special were now just monuments to her own stupidity. My wife had finally fallen from her fantasy world, and she had hit the ground hard. And this was only the beginning. I was going to wait until she was most desperate to have me back, and then I would deliver the final blow. Emily, we're done. I slammed the divorce papers down on the coffee table. The hiking magazine she was reading fell from her hands. What? What's done? She asked, her face turning the color of ash. This sham of a marriage, I said, pulling a thick file from my briefcase. Or would you prefer to keep playing pretend? Ethan, what are you talking about? She tried to stand, her legs trembling. Is something wrong with the company? I gave a cold, dead laugh. The problem isn't with the company, Emily. It's with you. I flipped open my laptop. Here, enjoy the show. I hit play. It was the audio from the tent. Her suppressed moans, Jake's guttural grunts, and her sickening whispers. You're so much better than my husband. She started to shake violently. Where? Where did you get that? I opened a folder on the desktop, a gallery of her betrayal. Pictures of them in the gear shop, picking out a sleeping bag together, their bodies pressed close. A shot of them kissing passionately behind the rustic lodge. A map showing their GPS signals overlapping for an entire night by the waterfall. Should I keep going? I asked. I also have the bank statements showing the $30,000 worth of professional gear you bought for him. Have you no shame, Emily? She collapsed onto the floor, a puppet with its strings cut. Ethan, please let me explain. Explain what? How you were screwing him in the tent I bought you. Or how you let another man defile our 5-year marriage. My voice was ice. You make me sick. Ethan, she reached for my hand, and I yanked it away like she was poison. Don't you dare call me that. I roared. The evidence is right here. What is there to say? When you were screaming his name in that tent, did you remember you had a husband? She fell to her knees, grabbing the cuff of my pants. Ethan, it was a moment of weakness. I was an idiot. It will never happen again. Can't we just forget it and start over? I swear, I'll never even look at another man again. I looked down at her, my face a mask of contempt. Forget it. Do you have any idea how much I trusted you, Emily? When you said you wanted to challenge yourself with a solo hike, I supported you completely. I bought you the best gear. I even found you the most professional guide. And what did you do? You used my trust as a cover for your affair. I swear, I'll make it up to you, she cried, her voice cracking. We've been married for 5 years, Ethan. Doesn't a decade of history mean more than a few stupid days? A decade of history? I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. Where was that decade of history when you were spreading your legs for him? The room went dead silent. When she finally looked up, her face was streaked with tears. When did you find out? Find out? I crouched down to her level, forcing her to meet my gaze. I knew that night in the valley. I listened to your whole performance live. I watched your GPS dots merge on my phone screen. It was quite a show. From the moment you first brought up wanting to hike alone, I had a bad feeling. I sneered. You, who was always afraid of heights and hated the cold. Suddenly an avid explorer? I was worried about your safety, so I put trackers in all the gear. And what did I get? A front row seat to your betrayal. She stared at me, dumbfounded. Then, why didn't you stop me? Stop you? I stood up, dusting off my hands. Why would I do that? I wanted to see just how far my wife was willing to fall. While you were living out your little fantasy, I was planning how to bring you to the depths of despair. And the best part, I said, pulling out printed copies of their text messages, is that you thought deleting your conversations was enough. I had everything backed up. All of it. She was shaking uncontrollably. Ethan, Jake, what happened to him? Him, I scoffed. A con artist running an unlicensed operation, juggling 7 or 8 clients at once. He's probably at a police station right now, cooperating with an investigation. I compiled a very thorough report of his illegal activities for the authorities. Your taste in men is garbage, Emily. She buried her head in her hands, sobbing. Why would you torture me like this? Why didn't you just confront me? Torture you? I threw the divorce papers at her feet. You deserve it. Now sign them, and we can go our separate ways. If you refuse, I will make all of this public. I'll send it to your parents, your friends, every single person we know. Ethan, I'm begging you. She crawled toward me. I can't live without you, without this home. I'll do anything to make it right. Just don't leave me. I nudged her hand away with the toe of my shoe. Make it right? With what? Your body that another man has used? Your mouth that's full of lies. I turned to leave. She scrambled up and grabbed my sleeve. Ethan, you can't go. We're not finished talking. There's nothing left to talk about, I said, shaking her off. You cheated. We're over. It's that simple. No, she screamed. You don't understand why I did it. Do you have any idea how lonely I was? How desperate I was for attention? I stopped and slowly turned back. So loneliness is an excuse to destroy a marriage? Desperation is a reason to take my money, buy the best gear, and use it to seduce some piece of trash on a mountain. She wiped at her tears, her voice now filled with resentment. You were always at work. I was lucky to see you a few times a month. I tried to talk to you. You were too tired. I wanted to go out. You had no time. I wanted a baby. You said the business wasn't stable enough yet. Jake actually listened to me. He cared about how I felt. He told me about all the places he'd been, the things he'd seen. He promised he'd take me to see the northern lights, to watch the sunrise from the top of the world. I just got swept away. I started to applaud, slow and deliberate. Brilliant. Truly a masterpiece. So that's your excuse? Because I was busy building a life for us, you had to go find your spiritual awakening with another man? It wasn't supposed to happen, she shrieked. I just wanted someone to talk to. I never meant for it to go that far. I shook my head. You're pathetic, Emily. You're a grown woman who made a conscious decision to betray your husband, and now you're trying to blame me for it? I wasn't paying enough attention to you, so you had to let another man into your bed? Don't talk like that, she whispered, flinching. Like what? I stepped toward her, my shadow falling over her. My words are nothing compared to your actions. You want to know how I found out? I put a recorder in your gear, just in case you got into trouble. And what did I hear? The sound you made in that tent. Every disgusting word. She shook her head, her hands over her ears. Please stop. Why should I? I sneered. You weren't afraid to do it. Why are you afraid to hear about it? I lay in my tent that night, listening to you, and I almost crushed my phone in my hand. Do you have any idea what that feels like? To witness your own wife's betrayal in real time. She was crying so hard she could barely breathe. Ethan, I'll be your slave. You can humiliate me however you want. Just please don't leave me. I straightened my jacket. Too late. All that expensive gear, the trips I helped you plan, all our memories. They're nothing but tools and evidence of your affair now. I turned and walked away. Behind me, her voice tore through the silence, a raw, shredded scream. Come back. I'll die without you. I was wrong, Ethan. I was so wrong. I walked out and slammed the door behind me. Standing in the hallway, I leaned against the wall, my hands still shaking. It was finally over. I didn't expect what happened next. Over the next 3 days, she transformed. She started waking up at 5 a.m. to make me a power breakfast before I left for the office. Oatmeal, eggs, beef jerky, all my favorites. She took out all my climbing gear, meticulously checking every carabiner, every inch of rope. She even polished my hiking boots until they shone. Ethan, there was a small tear in your windbreaker. I stitched it up for you, she said, her voice small and pleading. I glanced at her coldly. I don't want anything you've touched. It's filthy. The light in her eyes died. That night, she knelt by my bed, crying hysterically. Ethan, I know I'm a worthless slut. I deserve to die. I know what I did was wrong. I know it. That night, in the valley. It was so dark, I thought it was you. You thought it was me? I laughed. Your moans of pleasure were crystal clear. She shuddered, unable to respond. The next day, she became more desperate. She tried to kiss me, to initiate sex. I shoved her away in disgust. The mouth that Jake was all over? You dare bring that near me? Get out. She stumbled and fell, her eyes vacant, as if her soul had been scooped out. On the third night, she was skeletal, her eyes sunken into her skull. She looked like a ghost. Pack your things and get out of my house, I said calmly. Her head snapped up. Ethan, I'll walk away with nothing. You can have the house, the cars, all of it. I don't want a single penny. Just please don't divorce me. I remained unmoved. Suddenly, she pulled a utility knife from her purse. Her hand was shaking so badly she fumbled it, slicing her own finger. I calmly took the knife from her, feeling the slick blood on the handle. Is this your final act? It's not an act. It's my life. It's my heart, she screamed. I didn't even look at her. I walked to the kitchen and threw the knife into the trash can. It landed with a loud, metallic clatter. Watching this, she finally broke. She collapsed onto the floor, howling. Get out was all I said. She signed the papers and dragged her suitcase out the door. I lit a cigarette and watched her pathetic figure disappear down the street. The revenge was complete, and it felt good. For months later, a call from Frank woke me up. Ethan, you're not going to believe this. Jake Peterson is dead. Someone beat him to death with an ice axe. I sat bolt upright. What happened? It was Emily. She waited for him in his crappy little apartment for 3 days, then smashed his head in. The walls were covered in blood. It was a slaughterhouse. My heart hammered against my ribs. And Emily? She cut her wrist at the scene. Died right there. Before she did, she used his blood to write a message on the wall. I'll see you in hell, you son of a bitch. Before she died, Emily had mailed me a letter. Ethan, I know you hate me. I hate myself more. But most of all, I hate that bastard Jake. I made sure he died painfully. The way he begged was pathetic. His blood was hot. When it splashed on my face, I thought of you. I'm sorry, and thank you for teaching me what real pain feels like. In the next life, I want to be your wife again. But in this one, I'm going to hell. I burned the letter without a flicker of emotion. Frank set me up with a few single women from his climbing group. All of them smart, athletic, and successful. A few of us are hitting the crag next weekend. You in? I nodded. Yeah, I'm in. Sunlight glinted off my brand new backpack. The world outside was vast and waiting. The price of betrayal had been paid in full. It was time to find a new summit.